Welcome! So guys, this week's vlog is about 5 women in the public eye that I admire. It came about off the back of a conversation that me and Ava had last week. She actually asked me, she said, I believe she'd watched the TikTok and a girl had asked her partner if, 5 women in the public eye that he admired, and he couldn't answer, as I'm sure a lot of men can't. Which is the issue. I, very much see myself as an ally of women in their ongoing struggle for equality. I was raised by women, all the most important people in my life are women, so it's a subject that I feel very, very passionate about. It's a cause I feel very passionate about, and I also thought it was a topic that was very interesting. So, all that being said, let's dive in. These are in no specific order, by the way. It's not like going from 5 to 1, like I admire them all equally. First one is an entrepreneur called Layla Hormozi. So you might not know her. I only became aware of her about a year ago. Her and her husband own a portfolio of companies called acquisition.com, and it turns over about $200 million a year. He is the kind of conceptual, kind of salesy side, and she does all the operations. She runs the companies on the day-to-day. So she crossed $100 million in net worth by the age of 28. And what I really like about her, the two things that I really admire are that, one, when she was at uni, her life wasn't going well. Like, she was extremely overweight. I think she said she got arrested like 5 times. She got drunk like every night. She was failing uni, and then she just totally turned it around. I believe she had a conversation with her dad, and he said, like, I think that if you continue to live the way you're living, you're going to die. And she had a real catharsis, and she turned her life around. She met her husband together. They've just built this empire. And the other thing I really like about her is that, for Bai being a prodigious operator, and she really, really is, like, they both have their own podcasts. And when you listen to her speak about business, the thing I like about her and her husband is they've already done it. So especially in the self-help and business space, there's so much fluff around, I have a company that, cash flow is $500 million, and what it means is I had one good month, and if you drew that out over a long enough period of time, I would, have a company worth $500 million. It's a lie, essentially. They've done it. And the two of them answer in such a clear, concise way, because it's always like, they ask her a question, what would you do in this situation? And she's like, well, I would do this because this is what's worked before. It's so real life, it's so objective. Like, her level of technical expertise is just, I just feel like there's never any ambiguity. I just think she hits the nail on the head every single time. And the other thing I really, really admire her for, and this is something that I'll touch upon in one of the other women that I admire, is that she really calls it how it is. Now, I don't really like that term, say it how it is, because I think it's used as an excuse to be offensive and abrasive and just, wrong under the guise of being authentic. That she really does. In a time where that isn't always encouraged, both from the left and the right, and the, cancel culture is massive now, and sometimes if you do say things how they are, you kind of open yourself up to criticism. I really think that she really tells it how it is, and in a way that I think is like nuanced in real life, that, sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad. That's all part of life. That in itself isn't good or bad, it just is. I just really, really think that she's so on the money, both in her social commentary and in her technical expertise about business. So, and also, like, just her achievements, like, as I say, they run a portfolio, runs over $200 million a year. She crossed a net worth of $100 million at 28. Like, it's pretty incredible. And also, I think she comes across very, very well and charismatic and funny and a really nice person. So, yeah, I really, really admire her. She's someone I very much look up to. And, really can't say enough positive things about her. So, next is Grace Beverly. I assume everyone watching this will know who Grace Beverly is, but in case you don't, she is a former fitness influencer turned entrepreneur. She owns 2 companies, Shreddy and Tala. Tala is athleisure wear for women. Shreddy is like a fitness app, and they also do supplements. She, for me, like, is someone I wouldn't say admire the most out of the group, but she was the first one that came top of mind, and Ava actually said that as well. But I think I'm sure she said she was born in 1987, so would that make her 26 this year? But I believe she's actually still 25. And again, so just the level of accomplishment at that age is absolutely incredible. She also launched one of her companies during our final exams from Oxford. And I heard her speak about this actually, and I thought it was very true that people think that influencer businesses will just inherently succeed because they already have a lot of demand, and to a degree that is true, but also you don't get a trial period the business has to start and immediately function well, and that isn't generally how businesses go. Usually it's trial and error. They don't have that opportunity. The demand is there on a huge scale now, so everything needs to run well straight away. It's like, I've heard the analogy about business that, when a plane's falling out the sky, and running a business is really fixing it on its way down, so to go from influencer to launching two massive businesses, I'm not sure if you're aware of the businesses, but like, they are huge. They are like so much demand. They're renowned for their quality. I think, there's a lot of reasons I admire her. I think she, one, as I said, for a level of achievement at such an early age. Two, for having the ambition to do this. And also, I think she's very, very good at reading demand and really being detail orientated. She, is decisive, executes on a high level, but pushes for quality every time. So I think, there's the obvious reasons for why I admire her and her accomplishments, but I think the thing I admire most about her is that she makes it clear that the clothing brand is attempting to be ethical, so it's to make ethical, sustainably sourced gym attire more affordable. So it's going to be cheaper than Lululemon, but it's obviously always going to be more expensive than fast fashion. And we live in a world today where you say that you stand for something, if you say that you're trying to do something good, you are then poo-pooed either for being an extremist by people that don't agree with that ideology, or for not being an extremist by people that do advocate for that ideology and then want to, poke holes and point out all the places where you fall down and that you're not essentially a monk. And I think, on a side note, everyone is playing a status game in life. We're hardwired to do that. The people who cast stones, or anyone who's trying to, one, achieve anything or do some good in the world, and say that, look, you're still fallible, they're also playing a status game by trying to virtue signal and say that I'm a better person than you and you're not perfect. The only thing is they're playing an empty status game because they have no skin in the game. They're not trying to do anything. They're just sitting, casting stones from their anonymous profile. It's wrong, and it is really an issue in today's life and with the internet. However, the thing I really, really admire about her is that she answers a lot of these people, and she gives such comprehensive, nuanced, concise answers. For example, people say like, your products are meant to be ethical, you're supposed to care about the environment, but you still go on holiday, you still fly, you're still hurting the environment. And she's like, yes, I'm trying to do something good. Yes, the attire costs more than fast fashion, but yes, it's not 100% sustainable yet. And also, yes, I do like to go on holiday. I am trying to do some good, but I am a fallible human being. I am not perfect, but I am trying to do some good. Throw your stones if you will, but I'm still trying to move things in the right direction. She also, through her podcast and just her platforms, is a real advocate for women in business, for women's rights. Like, I believe it's something like out of all VC funding, like 3% of it went to female-led businesses last year, or female-founded businesses, which is obviously ridiculous. She really shines a light on topics like that. She brings them to the fore, and I think she's a real champion for women in business and female equality. And she takes a lot of heat for it. And I have to say, I have to touch upon as well that she takes a lot of heat because comes from a reasonably wealthy background and was privately educated and stuff, and she also addresses that frequently. She'll say, well, I can't help that I was born into wealth any more than someone can help that they were born poor, but off the back of that, like, I have still worked my arse off to get where I am today, so what do you want me to do? And I totally agree with that. Like, that is the case. People can't help being born into money any more than they can help being born poor. You can only play the hand you're dealt. And obviously, being born into the right situation is going to put you ahead, but what are you supposed to do? Just sit in your hands and never achieve anything because you were given a bit of a head start? That's ridiculous. Why vilify people for where they started in life? She is acting in a morally upright, hard-working way, attempting to make the world a better place and also building big shit. Like, what is there not to admire? Again, I think it just speaks to that thing that people online, when they're casting stones, it's not really about you, it's about how they feel about themselves. But there's multiple things I admire about her. I admire the accomplishments, I admire the intelligence, I admire the way she's able to read markets and, see what there's an appetite for. I admire the way she runs her businesses. I admire her ethics and what she's trying to do with said businesses. I admire her champion women's rights, and I admire how she handles, most of all, I probably would say I admire how she handles all the stick she takes for actually trying to do something good in the world. So, and for someone who is, 25, 26, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot for anyone at any age, but to be doing all of that and then still, trying to push for balance and living a you know, living the life of someone who is 25 and still trying to enjoy herself. Finally, I would also say that she says in her book, and I really agree with this, that, you know, we're all obsessed with this work-life balance thing, but life is in seasons. Sometimes there isn't balance. Sometimes you need to work really, really hard and you don't get much downtime. You know, sometimes there'll be more times to relax. That isn't a very popular thing to say now. It's classed as hustle porn, it's classed as unhealthy, but, you know, she will go out there and say things like that, and, you know, I think that is really needed in today's world, you know, because the internet hates nuance and it wants to put you in one camp or another, and she rejects that. And I think that through people like her and through women like her, the world becomes a better place for everyone and for women especially. The next one is a lady called Esther Perez. So she is a psychologist. She specialises in like relationships, and she wrote a book called The State of Affairs, and it's one of the self-help books or relationship type books that I have learned the most from. It was all based on real cases from her practice, you know, couples that have come in different situations that they've been in, and, you know, all the kind of details around them. And I don't know a massive amount about her as an individual, but I just think that she's helped so many people, and she, you know, really helped me in terms of like just learning about life and relationships, and I think probably just developing as a man and as a partner. So to help people on such a large scale, I just think that the work she's done, the work she continues to do, the information that she's brought to the fore, again, like subjects as large as that, there's always so much white noise around them, there's so much, you know, conflicting information, conflicting ideologies, and the subject can almost become a bit amorphous. I think she's made it a lot less opaque. She's brought real world, like real life knowledge about, I know, a very important subject like relationships. Like, you know, health, wealth and relationships are basically how we're motivated about everything, and I think to have done so much good and to have helped so many people is an incredible achievement. So, you know, as I say, I don't know a huge about her socially or as an individual, but I just really, really admire her career, and I have to think that she's helped so many people, and she's definitely helped me, so I'm eternally grateful for that, and yeah, I admire her very, very much. Next is Kim Kardashian. Now, this view can cast your mind back to when, you know, the Keeping Up with Kardashians first, you know, came onto TV. There was a lot of reality shows, and most of those people are not in the public eye anymore, you know, disappeared, faded away into the ether. They haven't, and, you know, whether you like the Kardashians or not, you must acknowledge their achievements. You must acknowledge what they have done. They have taken a reality TV show and they have built it into an empire. The word empire is thrown about quite a lot, but you can't call that anything but. They went from being reality TV stars, and you could argue kind of figures of fun, and they went to the biggest fashion houses in the world, fighting to endorse them, fighting to do brands them, like Kim's with D&G now. You cannot deny they have achieved and what she has achieved. She is a billionaire, like arguably the most famous woman on the planet. You cannot say that's luck. You cannot say it's off the back of a sex tape. You cannot say it's off the fact that her dad was a prominent lawyer. Those things will only get you so far. The work ethic that must take, the intelligence, the going from correct decision to correct decision. Like, do you know how many things you have to get right over what kind of period of time to achieve what she has achieved? It's ridiculous. Like, as I said, you know, whether you like them or whether you don't, you must respect what she has done. On a personal level, obviously, she had a messy divorce from Kanye West. I thought she handled it with dignity. I thought she put her children first. You know, I have so much admiration for that. And also, the biggest reason I admire her, other than the achievements, is she's now a lawyer who fights to get, you know, people off death row. She did not have to do that. She's a billionaire. She has a very comfortable, nice life. You know, nobody was asking her to do that. She went and trained as a lawyer, and now she fights for the poorest people, the most marginalised people in society. Like, who the fuck does that? That is incredible. And you can't say it's for clout, because, you know, I never really see much about it. And like, return on investment, like, see if you were really just doing it to virtue signal and to get some praise, you would not do a legal degree and get knee deep in death row cases. Like, you're doing that because you mean it. So yeah, as I said, like, to go from, I mean, yeah, they had a bit of money, but so did a lot of people. Go from reality star to, as I said, self-made billionaire, arguably the most famous woman in the world, working with D&G, working all her own business endeavours, Skims. It's massive, and the quality is excellent, by the way, as well. Ava's absolutely obsessed with it. And then after that, well, I'm actually going to go and be a lawyer now and, you know, try and get innocent people off of death row. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you couldn't make it up. It almost seems like a fairy tale. So huge respect for her. Admire her very, very much. Really look up to her and all her achievements. And the last one is Zendaya, you know, the darling of the world. I just think she is absolutely incredible. Like, she's a triple threat. She sings, she dances, she acts, and yet she's just so multi-talented. And I think the thing that really brought the talent home for me, obviously we all know she can sing, we know she can dance, we know she can act, but you know, if you've watched Euphoria, see the scene where she is having the freak out at home because she can't get drugs, she's going into withdrawals and she's like kicking the doors and stuff. Like, I felt like I was watching a real drug addict. Like, it was traumatizing to watch, it was jarring to watch, but I felt like it was a window into real life. Like, I didn't sense the acting at all. It was so visceral in real life. Me and Ava were sitting in the end of our seats. Like, I think that is some of the best acting I have ever seen. It was incredible. I just saw it, like, as I said, like, that's the only way I can describe it. It was some of the best acting I've ever seen. And aside from that, she just seems like a really, really nice person. Can you imagine, like, look at what happened to so many other child stars. You know, a lot of the time, I could argue the majority of the time, it doesn't end very well. Her parents have obviously done a really good job because she seems like a balanced individual. She seems really, really nice. She seems like she's really got her shit together. She just seems so nice, so charismatic, so pleasant. I just think how she's built her own brand is amazing. But, you know, to be that talented and obviously to reach that level of talent as well, think about how much hard work was involved in that. Like, you can't even fathom how much hard work it takes to be so good at so many different things. It's hard enough to be, you know, world class at one thing. That, and just how well she comes across, she just seems so nice, so charismatic. Then also, I think most recently, how she handled the comments about her mother's appearance. She was in a picture with her mum and dad, and a lot of people obviously felt that her mum didn't look the way they had anticipated, or, you know, the way they had projected that Zendaya's mum should look. And instead of just having that thought, you know, and keeping it unspoken, internalising it, and just scrolling past, they decided that they had to voice that to, you know, Zendaya and her mother, and essentially call the women ugly. So it's okay to have an unspoken thought. Why would you just be mean for the sake of being mean? The internet baffles me, but she handled it really, really well, and she was just like, you know, my mum is an amazing parent. My parents are both teachers. They've dedicated themselves to educating young people. You know, the fact that you're commenting this, God bless, go and look at your own self and see that you're beautiful and you don't need to act this way. I'm paraphrasing, but that is essentially what she said, and I thought she again just handled it with such dignity, decorum, grace, and just really took the high road. And I have to say, if that had, you know, happened to me, I probably wouldn't be doing that. So yeah, just much respect for the way she handled that, for how she carries herself as a person, and for her talents. So that's it, guys. You know, I didn't script for this vlog. I was really just shooting from the hip. So I think I lost my train of thought a few times, and I don't think I done them justice as to all their achievements in the detail and, you know, all the different aspects to everything they're doing. But they're just 5 women that I really, really admire, that I look up to, whose, you know, success and abilities I would like to replicate. And yeah, I just think they're incredible, and I think it's really, really important to have conversations like this, especially as a man. Like, women need allies in their struggle for equality. You know, I was actually going to do a reel about this, about things I would tell my son, but I feel like as men, we have an obligation to speak up about this topic and to other men when they, you know, objectify or undermine women, because it's the same as racism. Like, it only stops when you meet people uncomfortable for doing it. Like, if you're in a group of guys and somebody says something that is, you know, disrespectful to women, it only changes big picture when you are brave enough to stop and make things uncomfortable and go, I don't agree with what you just said, I don't think that's okay. If you just laugh and smile and nod along, nothing changes. Change has to happen from the inside, because as much as women can fight their own cause, the men who don't respect them will just undermine it and just write it off because, like, you know, there's just women piping up. The change needs to come from us as much as it needs to come from them. More so, really, because the patriarchy is, you know, we're actively enforcing it on them, not me. But, you know what I mean, it's coming from men. So in all the frameworks and everything is geared up for us and not for them. So we are a key element in their struggle for equality, and, you know, I really, really want to do my part about that. You know, I feel extremely passionately about this issue. Every important person in my life, or all the most important people in my life, are women. Every good thing about me comes from, you know, being raised by my mother and growing up with my sister, and now my partner, the most important person in my life, the person that loves me and makes me feel loved and fulfills me more than I ever thought was possible as a woman. So I feel very, very passionate about this issue, and I really, really want to do my bit. So I think it's an important conversation to have. I would like to create more of a narrative around this. and really, you know, have it as an ongoing conversation. You know. Anyway, as usual, guys, I would love to get your thoughts on, you know, what we've just spoken about. Who are 5 women that you admire? Who are any women that you admire? Why do you admire them? You know, what do you think about the issue at large? What can we do to assist our sisters in their fight for equality? You know, all that good stuff. I'm really, really interested to get your feedback. You know what I'm going to say, because I say it every week. If you could like, comment, share, subscribe, I would really, really appreciate it. I am desperate to grow the community to as big as it can possibly be. I love having this connection with like-minded people. I love that we all grow together. It gives me so much joy and purpose. So if you can share it with a friend, I would really, really appreciate it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. It means the world to me, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much, guys.